Hi, what's up guys? It's Cody.
And Jessica.
From KCP.
Welcome to Twin Talk on Cody's Corner.
And today we are going to be reviewing the much beloved movie Maleficent. And by beloved I mean everyone freaking hated this movie.
Except me.
Except me and her. The story of Maleficent is all about Maleficent. What a shocker there. It's all about her backstory, how she started out as a good fairy, but after being betrayed, she turns cold and tries to get back at the king by performing an evil deed.
But it backfires. Basically, her story is she met a young human, and they became good friends, and he cut off her wings, which gave her the ability to fly. So she becomes cold and heartless. The king marries, and they have a daughter. And Maleficent finds out, and she curses the daughter for what the king did. And the king hides his daughter with 3 fairies to protect her.
Yeah.
Oh. And Maleficent basically watches over her and raises her, because the fairies are just total
dimwits.
They don't know how to raise a baby. So basically for Aurora, for her whole life, she thought that Maleficent was her fairy godmother. And she learned all about the fairy world, and she visited, and when she found out Maleficent wasn't her fairy godmother,
she goes to the king.
Aurora is freed from the spell by a kiss on the forehead from Maleficent, and she reawakens and she becomes the queen of the fairy world and the human world. And Maleficent gets her wings back, and all is happy, and that is basically...
That's the basic gist of the story. There's also a really good subplot where the dad, you know, the king, I kind of like the subplot where it kind of seems like he's kind of losing his mind.
He is. And
he's trying to kill her mainly so he can take over her kingdom, but is also kind of fooling the kingdom into thinking it's because, you know, curse on the daughter. Yes.
What I really love, you see the prince for a little bit, and he tries to give Aurora a true love's kiss, but in the end, it's Maleficent that actually reawakens Aurora from her sleep. And from what I took it, was Aurora really did consider Maleficent to be her mother. And it was a true love's kiss, but it wasn't in the typical sense that, oh, true love's kiss, here's a prince that you met like a day ago and you fall in love. But no, it was actually really realistic, and I don't think a lot of people picked up on it. People were just like, oh, Maleficent, and I was like, that is really deep, and that was well done.
We're gonna kind of go on to the flaws really fast, what kind of bothered us about the movie first. The 3 fairies. I really didn't like these characters. It's just the way...
They weren't really in there very much
They weren't in there very much, which is part of the reason I'm kind of mentioning them first. They are a smaller problem, but they rubbed me the wrong way, because I'm a big fan of, you know, the original story and of the film Sleeping Beauty. And the fairies, while they aren't always the brightest, are nowhere near as dumb as these 3 fairies are portrayed in the movie. And I just didn't find it funny or endearing. I kind of was like, how did... What? Like, I was, like, legitimately shocked throughout the whole movie.
I was, too. When I was in the theater, I was pretty shocked. I was just like, that is not what a baby eats. Oh, she's going toward a cliff. Hello, people.
And my biggest problem is that the movie tried to play it for comedy. I'm like, no, this isn't funny. This is kind of messed up.
It's just sad.
It was just mainly that the baby, like, almost died, like, 3 times, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is not funny. Why do you think this is funny, movie? I think the fairies, when done right, can be portrayed as, well, they aren't the brightest, they have good hearts, and they are trying their best to
At least they know how to take care of a baby in the movie.
So, I mean, I didn't really like them, but luckily they really weren't in it all that much.
I also kind of think maybe the writers and the directors didn't really think that one through, and the actresses did what they could with what they were given. They did a pretty good job with what they were given.
Yeah, they tried.
Wasn't very much.
They tried really hard. I could tell they tried really hard to make them likable and still kind of funny without trying to make it look like how I saw it, which was just terrible. So I give the actresses credit. They made it a bit more tolerable than it could have been.
Yeah.
I feel like they really tried their hardest.
I feel like if they were bad actresses, I would have hated them even more.
Inappropriate humor with the fairies and the fairies in general, I just didn't quite like the betrayal. Anything else? Oh yeah, the prince.
He kind of just, like,
shows up
appeared out of nowhere.
It was like
in the forest.
nothing.
It's like, oh, okay, random boy. I feel like he really did expect Aurora to, like, love him, but I'm like, dude, she met you, like, an hour ago?
Yeah.
I don't think... And then I think they got married in the end. I'm like, what? No! They don't know each other.
The prince was a problem for me. I get what the filmmakers were trying to do. They're kind of trying to show how dumb it is and the power of love between mother-daughter relationship can be, and how it can be just as powerful as any, if it's not stronger than any relationship you'll have. But I mean, I get what they were trying to do, but at the same time they created a useless character that's not interesting, that's very forgettable, and honestly...
I forgot about him. I was like, oh, who was that? Oh, okay, Prince?
Yeah.
Okay.
I forgot about him too, actually, until you brought him up. He's just a really forgettable character, and he just comes out of nowhere.
And it's sad, because I do like that actor, but he picked a really bad role.
Yeah, he did.
Could have picked something else.
I mean, I understand maybe why he picked it. You know, Disney, big name, obviously. It's kind of like, if Disney were to call me and ask me to be in a movie, I'd probably say yes, too. But again, just a really forgettable character. I will give them one thing about him, which was that how he wasn't even prompted to kiss her until the fairies were like, hey, hey, hey. Like, the fairies were pushing him.
I like him a little bit more now that I think about that, because he wasn't looking for true love. He was trying to save his kingdom, and he wasn't interested in kissing her. So I'll give him brownie points.
I found the king, he could be sometimes interesting.
I didn't like him.
But I don't know if it's the way the actor played him, but he just wasn't all that interesting, and...
He creeped me out. Like,
I didn't find him to be that great.
I didn't understand why he was so obsessed with Maleficent.
I feel like part of the problem with this character is he wasn't very fleshed out, if that makes sense. They didn't give him enough of...
Well, he didn't really have much in the other Disney movies.
Yeah, I know. I know, but I mean, it worked there because it's, in the original, he was just a loving father.
Yeah.
Who cared about his daughter, and I really think that was all that was needed there. Here, you kind of needed a bit more explanation as to why he's so obsessed, because it doesn't seem like he's really doing it for the love of his daughter. He doesn't really seem to care about anyone. You're not quite sure if he even if he takes out Maleficent, I don't really know how he could still even take over the magical kingdom, because there's so many other things against him there too. So
yeah, I think Maleficent shut off the fairy, so they couldn't even find it. So if he killed her, who's to say he would have found the kingdom anyway? Yeah,
pretty much. It's very convoluted, and it feels like that they were trying to make a villain out of him, which I'm okay with. You need a villain.
At the very end, the fight scene where Maleficent did try to make amends and he didn't, that was pretty interesting.
I liked that scene.
That was good. But other than that, no. I don't think the actor quite knew what they wanted from him.
Yeah, he kept going back and forth.
If you noticed, the tone of the actor changed quite a few times in the movie, where he'd do something and then he'd do something different, and then he'd go back and then he'd go back. I'm just so confused. What are you doing?
Yeah, I know. Aurora herself. She's a good character. She's kind of likable, but she's not very interesting. She was probably one of the more bland characters in the movie. And while I liked her okay, it wasn't like I was in love with her. And I felt like I didn't connect with her as much as I was supposed to. Again, not a huge problem. I think Elle Fanning kind of saved it because she's such a good actress.
I can understand why they wouldn't want to give her too much screen time, because it's not about Sleeping Beauty. It's about Maleficent.
Well, I understand that. My biggest problem was just that I felt like the movie thought that you were connected more with her than you actually were. It did drag a little bit in the middle, but not like a lot. Like, I wasn't checking my watch or anything, but it did feel kind of a bit
slow.
It got a bit slower in the middle.
It got kind of weird too. I'm just
yeah.
like,
It was weird, a bit of a weird tone shift, but once you got used to it, it was fun.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
I know it seems like we brought up a lot, but most of the points we're bringing up are actually really minor points in the movie and story.
I mean, we're talking about them a lot, but you see them, they're there, and then they're gone.
Because the main story and focus
is brilliant.
Is really good, which is why we should probably get to the good points. There's a lot of people who hate this movie, and I hear the same thing. They didn't want this kind of story from Maleficent. They just wanted like a villain's perspective on the story, meaning they didn't want her to be like an anti-tragic anti-hero. They just wanted her to be a villain. And I was like, well, I can understand that sentiment. It would be interesting to see a movie like that, and it has been done well before. The problem is you're focusing on what you didn't get, not what you got.
You don't really get her backstory in Sleeping Beauty, which I really enjoy. You know, I mean, yeah, it's an anti-hero, but so what? I mean, they've been doing that for a while, and it works.
I think it works well here because they give you explanation as to how she is, why she did things. So I'm okay with this different perspective. I completely understand a bit because, yes, I love Maleficent when she's just evil and she's just gloriously evil. Yes, it's very entertaining to watch in the original film, but that's not what the focus was this time. She wasn't supposed to be the villain. She has to be the main character, and main characters have to be, well, likable. So I can understand why they didn't really go for just a complete villain route. One of the biggest positive points, for me at least, is the casting.
Yes.
They picked a lot of really good casting choices.
Angelina Jolie.
Angelina Jolie was perfect.
Do you know that her daughter was the young Aurora? Her actual daughter.
Oh, that's pretty awesome. I didn't know that.
And Angelina and Brad were at the set, and they were worried about like how it was going to affect her, but she did really good.
Yeah.
For like a little girl, she did quite good.
Yeah, that's impressive actually.
I don't really know who played Diaval, but he was really good.
Yeah, he was a fun character. He was probably my favorite character.
I love Diaval too.
Diaval was just great.
He's my favorite character. Diaval was actually really interesting because he was a purely original character.
Yeah.
Because Diaval in the original Sleeping Beauty was just a raven.
Pretty much.
And he literally just had on her staff and became a dragon. But in this movie, you got a story about him, and it was a good story. Yeah. And you like, I was like, well, okay, you are cool. I like you. Diaval was the main person that did the humor. I remember there was one scene where I can't remember exactly what he said, but he said something like, please don't turn me into a wolf again. I don't like it. And then she did it, and then he's like, I hate you. And then he just like flew off. He had a really great timing on comedic humor, and he nailed it.
He nailed that role perfect. Elle Fanning actually did really good as Aurora. While I do still have somewhat of the problem where I didn't connect with her as much as I wanted to, she was still very likable. She was really happy, and you know, she just played the part really well. But Angelina Jolie, just holy crap, that woman can play. She's so like dang. She's just great in every aspect. The main characters that you focus on in the movie are so likable and so well portrayed.
You feel bad for Maleficent. You want her to achieve things, and you feel heartbreak for Diaval because he really does love Maleficent. I think there is a scene in the movie where he steals some of the queen's jewelry and he gives it to Maleficent, and I'm just like, and then she sets him free, but he stays with her.
That's pretty awesome, actually.
So cute.
I love the visuals. Beautiful looking movie.
That was amazing. There was some amazing CGI. Like I was like, I want to go up. I want to go to that fairy world. I want to go there. Take me there. The main conflict is she wants to get her wings back.
Yeah.
That was her whole goal the entire time. But when she connected to Aurora, she wanted to remove the curse. They joined together near the middle of the movie, and then toward the end they were pretty much the same goal.
I was just saying that was probably one of my favorite plot points.
I really enjoyed that Aurora was the one that got Maleficent back her wings. That
yeah,
was my favorite part.
I thought that was awesome, because it really does show that, you know, they really truly care for each other. And the climax, the amazing...
What I love is the final battle where she turns Diaval into a dragon.
Oh yeah.
But it isn't to hurt anybody, it's to protect herself, because she's being attacked by the king's army.
Yeah.
And it was really quite heartbreaking, because they like trapped him and he was fighting. He was really trying to get to Maleficent, but he could not get to her. But overall, I give it 2 thumbs up and definitely see it. Or at least rent it.
I would say it's definitely worth seeing. While I do acknowledge it has some problems, the problems, in my opinion, are very minor that people are just overblowing.
I think they're nitpicking.
And they're nitpicking
They want
it
to find a reason to not like this movie, and if you want to find reasons to not like something, you're gonna find them.
Pretty much, and I really enjoyed it. I think it's definitely worth seeing, at the very least, just to get your own opinion on it. I'd definitely say check it out, go to Redbox, whatever, if you have a movie renting store.
Go to the library. They always need people there.
Yeah.
That was
our Maleficent
review.
Well, we hope you guys enjoyed it. This is Cody.
And Jessica.
See ya.
Bye.
Peace. Peace out, homie.